I'm good.
And we live, baby. You are now watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here with my homie and my co-host, the homie Kai. What's good, bro?
Man, I'm doing good. The fam's doing well. I'm doing good. The weather outside is nice, and the NBA players have been exciting, very exciting. So
Yeah,
I
we
got
out here
nothing to
rolling.
complain about, bro.
We're rolling.
Yeah.
It's a good day, man. The weather was good outside. It wasn't crazy hot. It's like 80 degrees. It's like perfect barbecue weather. Outside backyard barbecue party weather.
Mhm.
Um, I just found out that there's another pool. There's like two other pools in my neighborhood. I had no clue. I've been here living here since August,
You
mind
got you got secret pools, Ralph?
you. Yeah, there's like two other pools in my neighborhood. I guess one of them is 24 hours too. So like,
Oh snap.
I didn't even know all this. But
Okay.
before we get this show rolling, send a shout out to the sponsor. Even though we haven't been in the studio in a minute, if you want to book any podcast, photo shoots, music videos, you want help, just need some consulting on how to start a podcast, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fit Boxer. And we didn't necessarily, I forgot to have this conversation with you beforehand,
Yeah.
but since we're going off the rip and we just got done talking about it, let's play the blame game.
How'd you know I was gonna sing that? Yo, man, that's what happens when you do so many shows together, man. Like I had that song in my head too, bro. Like,
Right,
yeah.
right. So Nets
John
get
Legend.
swept. Everybody's been quick to start talking about the KD LeBron conversation is over.
Yeah.
People been jumping in on the F Kyrie and all of this, and people calling for Steve Nash's job. Ben Simmons. We've been talking about how fly he looked and his heart and whether or not his head is in it. There's another person that I'm gonna bring up during my when I actually get to speak, but who gets the blame, bro?
Okay. Yeah, there's so many ways we could go about this, Ralph. Like we discussed, man. And whether I want to pour it on? Do I want to hold back? Do I want to, I just think I want to say this. First and foremost, to keep it short, I'm gonna give the Boston Celtics credit for their game plan. Ime Udoka, they got physical with KD, got him uncomfortable, protected the rim, forced him to take tough shots, etc. So let's give the Boston Celtics credit for that. I had them going 7 games, taking 3 from the Nets, and they swept them. I think the blame goes to, I think it's a collective effort in terms of Steve Nash did not make adjustments because a 7-game series is a series of adjustments. He could have played a LaMarcus Aldridge, used him in the pick and pop game. He could have played a Blake Griffin, right? Someone who would get rebounds because they were getting killed on the boards. The Boston Celtics played Andre Drummond off the floor. Then I look at a guy like Kevin Durant. We used to call him the most prolific scorer or the most effortless scorer. Some say he is the greatest scorer because of his, turning that 3-point shot into a high percentile shot. And we still believe he's a great scorer. Let's not get that wrong. But it's not necessarily the fact that they got swept, which is bad, but it's not that they lost, but how they lost and the fact that they got swept and that KD through the course of 3 out of the 4 games, it seemed like he was a no-show. And so I have to blame KD for not carrying his weight and Kyrie for not really carrying his weight, except for one game. I thought Kyrie actually kept them in the game, but there was a defensive lapse. So I think collectively, I'm gonna give what is it? If you can split it up, I'm gonna give probably 50% of the blame to Steve Nash, and then the rest of the blame to the players. And I say that because Steve Nash, he never should have been coaching at all. Let's just be real. He made no adjustments. There's too many excuses going on. Kyrie Irving did say, we don't need a coach. Okay. So I understand him saying that. And so you have to live with the results. But at the end of the day, what did 3LW say? Players going to play. Ballers going to ball. So I really could come through here with some fire and brimstone, but I'm just keeping it real. I'm just going to use the facts. Like, they didn't show up. They do need to redeem themselves next year. As a fan of the game, I'm highly disappointed in both the players. And I also blame Steve Nash because I think that Steve Nash never deserved the job to begin with. So that's where I'm going to go, and I'm going to give the Celtics credit, and I'm going to swing it back to you, bro.
Yeah, and then so to give somebody some blame that didn't get mentioned, Sean Marks.
Thank you.
He should definitely get a lot of blame. First off, the hiring of Steve Nash, I'm not saying that Steve Nash doesn't deserve to coach at all, but I think that playing in New York, playing in Brooklyn, and then you now not only do you have two of maybe the top 10, top 15 players in the league, I think that the moment got too big for him to where he didn't make adjustments. Like Mark Jackson brought it up in game 1. Why isn't LaMarcus Aldridge in this game? And so it's like you got to at least you got to start throwing people out there to see how they're playing and how well they play. You waited too long. Blake was effective, even though he's out of shape. He was effective, but we didn't start getting minutes until game 3. And so it's like by then, now you're already in a position where you can lose, you can get swept. You're about to get swept. So it's like, why aren't you throwing people out there that the issue is that you're literally able to hone. They're literally able to hone in and focus on KD. If you bring Blake and LaMarcus, they can literally stretch the floor. Now, at that point, you have 5 shooters on the floor. And so I'm not here to say that, Blake Griffin is going to hit 40 from 3, but he can at least hit 1 out of 3, which is enough to make you want to rotate.
Yeah, pick and pop.
And then when you start thinking about the depth of the team, and we've been bringing this up for since they made that trade. They should have never traded for James Harden.
Yeah.
Their team was deep, and this is what it was. Regardless of how you feel about it, the Celtics, with the Nets, you have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge drop off where Seth, if he's catching and reacting,
he's probably a third option.
He can create a bucket.
Yeah.
But Seth Curry should not be your third option.
Exactly.
Where when you got the Celtics, there's Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, then Marcus Smart can create his own shot, and Al Horford. Yeah. And Al Horford is still a bucket in the post.
Yeah, he's still nice. I realize.
and he's still knocking it down. Now he's a little slow when it comes to on the defensive end, but when we're just talking about offense, you pretty much it's all 5 people could get a bucket if it need be.
Yeah. Or
at least do a catch and shoot, where Tice is that 4th person that's really more of a catch and shoot, pick and pop kind of guy. Yeah. But it's like on the other side, it's just the makeup of the team was where these two got to do so much already. So now we're going to throw all of this blame on the players on the court because they weren't able to make up for the disparity in talent on both teams. Mm-hmm. Not only, and then you give away James for someone that didn't even play. Not alone, Joe Harris is not there. Another shooter, another hustle player, another defender.
Yeah.
So it's like the makeup of the team just wasn't right. I'm not here to say I'm not even going to sit here and place all this blame on KD. I do think that KD, like me and my dad had this conversation. If you look at his numbers, it's crazy to say that he had a bad series.
Yeah,
look at his numbers. Because if you go and look at his numbers, if it was anybody else, we wouldn't even be sitting here trying to place no blame on him.
Right.
We just would have said all the Celtics played really good defense.
Yeah. But the cachet of KD, adds to that.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like the other things that we talk about when we start talking about Kevin Durant, possibly the greatest scorer ever, how effortless that he makes it look. Yeah. That one of those things where it's like you got to hope he misses.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, if you see how he came out in game 4, he was just so much more aggressive. So it's like, where was this the last 3 games?
Yeah, that's how I felt the same way. And I like what you mentioned about the coach, because the players, they do have to play. And I think Kyrie, and that's why we acknowledge, I do believe that Kyrie did put a foot in his mouth. And I can take accountability as him being one of my favorite players. People already know that, so I'm willing to do that. I'm not taking accountability, but I like how he does take accountability, which is funny because people call him unintelligent and all this kind of stuff, but he's been taking accountability in every post game that they've lost. But anyway, I like how, he did say that they don't need a coach, and I feel like that did bite them in the butt. But real quick, before we move on to the next topic, who do you think would be a perfect coach for them moving forward? Because I actually think that they should have a little more leadership in that locker room, and I believe that the way they lost, in my personal opinion, and I'll send it to you, I think a Mark Jackson would actually fit this squad perfectly. I think he's actually perfect. Oh,
he's the perfect coach.
New York, everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
New York guy.
Yeah.
He might be
from Brooklyn to Queens or something like that.
I think it's Queens.
Queens, yeah, I think it's Queens. It's Queens.
I think it's Queens. If it's not Brooklyn, it's definitely Queens.
Yeah.
I do think New York guy, point guard, former point guard, tough. I don't think that he's gonna be afraid to say something to them, and I think that he would get their respect too.
Yes, he's the only one I can think of.
Where I don't necessarily we respect Steve Nash for the player that he was, but as a coach, I don't think he's walking in day one getting the same respect that Mark Jackson is getting on day one.
Yeah.
But so for me, I'm gonna go 35% Steve Nash. I'm gonna go 35. I'm gonna go 40%.
Sean Marks?
For Sean Marks.
Uh-huh.
So that puts me at 75? And then I'll split the rest of that percentage between KD and Kyrie, because KD had one game where he showed up, Kyrie had one game where he showed up, and they just never showed up in the same game. So,
and Bruce Brown, next time, don't give him fuel to the fire. Because I knew when he said that, I was like, bro, don't say it.
That's exactly why KD was like, bro, he just out here talking, bro. Shut up.
Bro. Oh, man.
But
good segment, man.
right. And so to continue on, round one of the playoffs has had some wild things. Devin Booker gets hurt. It's even looking like it's a possibility that the Pelicans could pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that I'm not really that surprised, honestly. Even without Zion, because we talk about this all the time when it comes to the playoffs. If you have the more players that you have that can go get their bucket when things break down, the better chance that you have. I don't care about your record. I don't care about how great of a team you played. The Celtics were able to sweep the Nets because they have two players that when things break down, they can go get their bucket.
Yeah.
And they play really good team defense.
Yep. And they like each other in the locker room. Let's be real.
Exactly.
They've been through a couple wars together. And you could tell just when they were coming back or every time that the Nets scored a bucket, they would find like a little gap in the defense and score. I'm like, that's just chemistry.
Right.
Years of chemistry. So
go. How you want to say? I'm gonna ask you, what is the most surprising series for you?
Surprising series. Well, let's see. Doc Rivers, the king of 3-1 shivers, doesn't surprise me. Let me see. I'm gonna go with the Pelicans. I'm really gonna go with the Pelicans, not because I didn't think they were a bad team, right? But I know me and you, we talked over this over the summer before, whatever. We never could have predicted the Paul George COVID situation. I figured the Clippers would get in and get whacked by a 1 seed or whoever they were going to play. But for the Pelicans to come in, we knew the cachet of Brandon Ingram, but he, like a Jason Tatum, now he's not going up against a Kevin Durant, obviously in a positional battle, but it was a chance for Brandon Ingram to take that next leap. He's in the playoffs, right? He performed well in the play-in. He performed in the playoffs. We're getting a chance to see, and me and my dad talked about this. They're playing great, and I'm not knocking the players. The players are playing great, but a Willie Green, this is great for everyone. I'm going to say everyone in America, right? Anyone who watched the playoffs. Coaching matters. He is getting the most out of his players. He's getting the most out of an Alvarado, out of a Valanciunas, out of a McCollum, even though he's a veteran, but you still want to get the most out of your vets. He's instilling them with confidence. The young players, Herbert Jones, a rookie with confidence. They're defending on the other end. They're getting buckets. They're showing up in the fourth quarter. Valanciunas was always a nice player, like Charles Barkley said, but he's taking that matchup with Ayton personal. And me personally, I posted on my IG. I said that's the most exciting playoff game I watched last series. I really like them. And to like our homie, shout out to our homie Tar, we talked about Zion and everything. We always said, Zion, if you're watching this, Zion, don't leave. You have a good thing in New Orleans. I understand why you want to go to New York for marketing and you want to play with RJ Barrett, your best friend. But New York is a cesspool of mediocrity, if you can even call it that. But I truly believe, not overreacting to recency bias, because I know Devin Booker's not out. But if you add a Zion in there next season, they can be contenders. I won't say they go to the finals, but they could be a conference final contender because of the way that they play. And I could go on forever, but what do you think, man? I enjoy the Pelicans. They make the playoffs fun to watch again, bro. I really do.
Not to be negative Nancy over here.
Oh no, you have something to say.
but my team, I'm disappointed, yo.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So we go back to Chicago.
Okay, yeah, swinging back to the Midwest.
And it's 1-1. Chris Middleton's not going to play. We're coming off of a victory.
Yeah.
And we just get smacked for 2 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like, I woke up this morning, Zach LaVine's in health protocol.
I saw that.
So it's like, it's looking like the season's over. But it's like, come on, bro. Like at a certain point, like what happened? I feel like we played so much harder. Then it's like in game 3, Grayson Allen goes off for almost 30.
Yeah.
And then we just don't play well in game 4. Like we were in it, and then it was a wrap midway through third quarter.
Is Caruso injured?
I have seen something about I think he's in concussion protocol too.
Okay, because I was gonna ask you, I was like, how did he get in? Oh, it's because of the nose thing, right? Maybe, or you got.
I don't remember what happened to him. I just know he was in a concussion protocol.
Okay, because I want to ask you that because I didn't know, but yeah.
And so like with that, it's like I'm just extremely disappointed in that. I thought that we legit had a chance with Middleton going down. Not that I wish injuries on anybody, but it's like I just feel like we should be right there. And I don't know what's happening on the floor, but it just I don't know what happened from game 2 to game 3 to game 4 is just not what
the rims. It's the 3-point shot. I noticed one thing with the Bucks, as great of a defensive team as they are. I saw like a crazy stat. This was on Reddit this morning talking about like the open threes, and you guys have I think missed like the most open threes in the playoffs. So the 3 ball when you guys were hitting it in the regular season is not falling for you right now. I think maybe one game you had it, but DeRozan don't want to hit him. But they said Vucevic, which we talked about him, bro. He's don't like but you should never be fooled by the stat sheet. He's been selling the series because apparently he's hitting like 31% from the 3. So like he's getting the open look, but he's shooting straight wood. So I think the 3 ball could have went down from Caruso and Vucevic, some of those guys. Maybe you get a little more closer in the game. It's my
it is. I think that for me is the most surprising.
Yeah.
So to keep this topic going for you, has anybody that you said would win the series not going to win the series now?
Yeah, there is. The Pelicans. The Pelicans. Because remember I said the Suns in 4? Yeah, I believe the Pelicans are going to win in 7 games. I believe it's going to because I'll tell you why, because we like Chris Paul, but I think what Charles and Kenny, they made a great point, and I noticed it as well. And I wanted to mention this to you, but I think we had a show prior to the start of the series or something like that, or prior to the start of one of the games, was if you remember game 1, they won that game, right? They won game 1. I think they might have went up. No, they split 1-1, but they won game 1. Did you notice in the post game that Chris Paul, I don't want to use the word sad, but he had like an uncomfortable look on his face. Like his game won the series. You notice that too? And so he balled out in the 4th quarter. And I was talking to my dad. I was like, yo, something wrong with Chris Paul? I'm like, it's kind of odd. I'm like, it's like the end. He going to retire or something at the, I'm like, I brushed it off. And then the next game that they won, he did another Inside the NBA interview. And he just seemed something was wrong about him, right? And then they lost that game. And Charles mentioned, Chris Paul, or was either Charles or Shaq, about getting up when you're like 37 and trying to, score in the 4th quarter. Because Booker, the loss of Booker, they go away from 8 too much. Jay Crowder, he can't create his own shot. No. Payne is just, I don't want to use the word trash, but he's not playing well right now. I don't know what Payne is doing. He's shooting air balls. He had that one dunk. I think he's averaging 4 points for the series. So I think your boy CP3, he's running out of steam, and so he's having to conjure up enough. He has to figure out, can he conjure up enough juice? And I don't think that he can as the series progresses or wanes. And guys like Alvarado, Herbert Jones, and Ingram, they have all the confidence. And what they said is as long as the series continues to go further and further, it makes it more dangerous. So I think the Suns have the advantage of, well, they don't have home court anymore, do they? Or did they steal it back technically?
I think it's tied.
So like
I think
technically,
the series is tied. I think it's Game 5 going into Phoenix.
Okay, so you get where I'm going, right? So
Yeah,
the fans need to be crazy loud, but I just believe, Ralph, in my personal opinion, I actually believe in the Pelicans that they're actually going to upset the Phoenix Suns. But I could be wrong. But I just like how they're playing right now.
I can definitely see that happening, bro. Because my point was going to be that I don't think at this age Chris Paul can take over 3 straight games. I do think that he could get every other game. Which is why I'm still feeling comfortable that they can still win this series. But if they lose tonight, if they lose tonight, it's a wrap.
Yeah, they got to get Valanciunas in foul trouble. I think if they can get Ayton touches early,
because it's a big drop off after that.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Go ahead.
Especially because with Hayes, he's more of a defender rebounder than he is an offensive threat. Where Valanciunas can protect the paint and he can go get you 20.
Yeah, that dude
can hit the pick and pop.
Yeah, that dude balling, bro.
Yeah, Valanciunas has always been nice, bro. I never understood why he got people never brought him up.
Because he played in Toronto. That's why. Toronto Pelicans, not really big markets. He need to go to the Bulls, replace Vujovic. Replace Vujovic with Valanciunas, man. You don't need that stretch big anyway. Come on, man. Go back to the low post.
I personally, the only way I'm willing to get off of Vooch is to go get Anthony Davis.
All right. I mean, you want to take Valanciunas for a year?
No.
All right.
Because I'm just gonna have a cheaper player for the same thing. Like unless I could get someone else, it's not really solving my problem.
All right, fair enough. All right, AD it is, man.
Right. So do you want to go into? You want to do linebackers before we start talking about sleepers and the best players, or
let's do linebackers? I know that we're doing a ranking for that, so for time, let's do linebackers.
Okay. So draft on Thursday, y'all. If you didn't already know, draft is on. We pretty wrapped up. We did everything from I think we did running backs. We did quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends,
safeties.
We did down linemen, edge rushers, safeties, and now we're talking about linebackers here. You want to go first?
I'll let you go first, man, because I had a mouthful in the last segment. So,
so at my 5, y'all know how I get down. I go 5 all the way to the top. So we got Brian Asamoah out of Oklahoma, 6 foot, 226. The one thing about him, and I've come to realize, I didn't realize that the outside linebackers of today are so small.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, I used to always make this joke about how I'm the size of an NFL safety. But
now you linebacker?
Yeah, I'm the size of an outside linebacker now. I'm 6 foot, 225. And he's 6 foot, 226. Now he's much faster than me. In my prime, I ran a 4.65.
That's good.
But he runs a 4.56, has a 36.5-inch vertical. He's smart and instinctual, has good sideline to sideline speed. The only thing for me is I kind of noticed that I felt like he's a little undersized and that he's not as fluid in coverage as you should be at that. Even though at that size, you would think he would be pretty good in coverage, but he didn't really pop out. I seen him get beat a little too often. And then so at 4, I do personally think that the person at 4, I have him ranked higher just strictly off of potential. So I got Troy Anderson out of Montana State. 343. I feel like he can play it inside, outside, strong side, weak side, because he runs a 4.42. He has a high motor. I think he's a little raw because he actually was a quarterback early in his college career.
That's 2 different extremes.
Exactly. But just the 2, he could be. He has a high. Pretty much, he was a Heisman finalist for academics, which I didn't even know that was a thing.
I know. I was like, what? Hey, I wouldn't have been on that list when I was in college, so.
So it's like not that it has the Heisman, but like the award that he was a finalist for, it's the Heisman equivalent for college academics.
Okay.
And so, but he is a little raw, has a high motor. Troy Anderson out of Montana State at 4, Brian Asamoah out of Oklahoma at 5.
All right. So we are in agreement with our 5th position. At number 5, I had Brian Asamoah out of Oklahoma as well, 6'1", 220, 225-ish. I understand what you're talking about with the size. And usually we'll look at size things with linebackers. We worry about, bigger running backs, potentially bulldozing them over, getting blocked by bigger linemen or getting caught up in the blocks. Because with linebackers, whenever you're coming downhill, you have to remember you have to look at block shedding as well. So, those are the things that people can have concerns about with the size. But like Ralph said, he has good lateral quickness, great sideline to sideline speed where he can make the play. So that's going to be pivotal when you want to prevent first downs, when you want to get someone who's coming off a sweep around the edge. And also something that he does well is he has an excellent feel for zone coverages. So he can stay in the zone and cover that zone. And then number 4 is where I differ. I have Quay, I believe that's how you pronounce the name, Quay Walker out of Georgia. Georgia. Shout out to Ludacris. Even though he's from Chicago, but whatever. Right. See, that's something only Ralph would know, right? Yeah. So, yeah, you guys learned something new today. Quay Walker to Georgia. He's a sure tackler. He only missed 7 tackles in 138 career attempts. He can stick with tight ends and man coverage. He's explosive and physical downhill, so he's really going to hit you with a pop. So I like Quay Walker out of Georgia at number 4. All right. You up next.
And I'm a little torn.
Uh-oh.
Because we've talked about this before. We talked about this when we brought up the last I think it was the down lineman we talked about, where we've come to realize there are so many Georgia players. Oh, safeties. It was safeties. There's so many Georgia players that it's like at a certain point, can I have 2 Georgia linebackers in?
Right. I know who you got.
So I'm like, I want to go Quay because I didn't like Christian. I like Christian Harris, good size, good speed, super athletic.
Yeah.
But he's just not as physical as like I would like my linebackers to be, especially coming out of Alabama.
Right.
So I'm gonna go Quay for all the reasons you brought up. Full-time starter. He shed blocks really well. Excuse me. The only thing I would kind of say is he doesn't really, as big as he is, he doesn't use his size as great as he should. Like he plays the run really well, but he's not that great when it comes to attacking the quarterback. And so that's one of the reasons. That's pretty much I had. It was between him and Christian, who I would put in there. I'm gonna completely bump Christian all the way out. Although Christian could have got my 3rd spot, but I don't like when you're not physical at a physical position.
Right.
And so at 3, I got Quay. Trying to think. Yep, and then his counterpart.
That man.
Was it Nakobe?
Yeah, Nakobe
Dean, inside linebacker. Another person, well, I don't know if he's inside, honestly. I feel like at his size, that would be hard for him to transition to the NFL at that size.
I think they say he's 6 foot, right?
Yeah, he's the same size as Brian. And so I'm like, but at 6 foot, 225, he ran a 4.5, 40. But with him, those same questions that you have about Quay, I don't really see a hole in his game outside of his size.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the reason why I don't have him at 1.
He's like a safer pick.
Exactly. He's the safer pick between him and Quay, but I don't see him as the all-around linebacker that number 1 is.
Okay. So
I'm
I
gonna
got a
let you rock.
wild. Okay, I got a wild card, Ralph, at my number 3 at tres. And I could be missing on this one, but I'm going up to Wisconsin because Wisconsin always has good linebackers, outside
Yeah.
linebackers, inside linebackers. They always have a linebacker in the draft. So I'm gonna go with Leo, not DiCaprio, not the dude that fell off and drowned in the Titanic, but Leo Chenal from Wisconsin, linebacker. What I like about him is if you have a man blitz scheme where you want to blitz, this is your guy. He's going to go and get the quarterback. Bam! So
Right.
I like him because I think out of all these linebackers on the list, outside of my number 1, which we'll get to, and you probably have the same number 1, he's the best at just attacking. You know what I'm saying? He has good sideline to sideline speed as well. Good size. So I like him at number 3. Number 2, we have the same N'Kobe Dean from Georgia. He's about 6 feet 220, good reaction time, good sideline speed. He's more of the safer pick, as Ralph had mentioned. So I'm not going to go over every single tidbit again. He's a more safer pick, should I say, opposed to his counterpart or his peer, Quay Walker from Georgia. But it just goes to show you, like when we were talking about the college football playoffs, that Georgia defense from the linebacker level to the trenches with Wyatt and Jordan Davis.
Yes.
Freaking 6'6", 380, 4.74, all that. So yeah, that Georgia defense was tenacious. So yeah, that's who I got at number 2, N'Kobe Dean. And then you want to go number 1?
Devin Lloyd out of Utah.
Yeah.
I got him listed as outside linebacker, 6'3", 235, so he could definitely put some more muscle on that frame. Ran a 4.66 40, but if you watch the tape don't lie.
Yeah.
He moves a lot more faster than his 40 time showed. So I'm not really gonna pay too much attention to that. Some people, you watch their tape and then you see their 40 time, and it's like, I didn't know he was that fast. Where it's like where I watched the tape and then I'm like, dang, he's fast. He looked faster than that. So
right.
I'm gonna. He did a really good job of when he got the chance turning turnovers and making sure they were turnovers, interceptions, fumbles, sack recoveries, and things like that. Play really well in coverage. Pretty much like I said when I talked about N'Kobe, I don't think he's as versatile and as complete as Devin is, which is why I got Devin at 1.
Okay. And excuse me. Yeah, we're definitely in agreement with Devin Lloyd at number 1 from Utah. He's the most versatile, linebacker in this draft class. Like we talked about, he's somebody that if you need someone who can blitz, he can do that. If you need someone who can take on blockers, at that level, he can do that. He has the athleticism to cover tight ends. He just has extreme versatileness. And when he blitzes effectively. He's not just, okay, I'm a bull rush the quarterback and swing and miss. No, like this is the guy who I think based off of everything that he can do, he separates himself from that pack. And so, when you want to be the best, he can do multiple different things. So, yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Ralph. Devin Lloyd at number 1.
And so on to the sleepers. Who are some of the best? Who are your sleepers?
All right. So let me get my list because I had a little list here. One of them I already know off the top of my head. I believe the first name would be Christian Watson. Yeah, Christian Watson, wide receiver from North Dakota State University. I think it's North Dakota State. Yeah, North Dakota State University.
Yeah, North Dakota State.
Yeah. Always NDSU. 6'5", big body. Well, not really body, but big, tall. Wide receiver. 40 time, 4.38, 40. He has straight line linear speed to beat over the top in the coverage. No, he did not play in the SEC, but this is a guy that I would look at a team like the Packers, potentially getting. Maybe even the Kansas City Chiefs. You want someone who's big, a deep threat that can beat the coverage. He maintains that speed throughout his routes. He's effective in the kick return game. He can return kicks. I believe he had 2 kick return touchdowns. I believe his last season that he played. He has a quick release and foot quickness to beat press man coverage, and he's a perfect combination of size and speed. And so I like him as a nice wide receiver 3 on a lot of different teams. I would even, if I'm the Baltimore Ravens and you talk about building an indefensible offense, which is what they said 3 years ago, and here we are 3 years later, and we can't get out of the divisional round. Maybe you look at a guy like a Christian Watson, because you still need that big play receiver that you can put on the outside. Yes, you did get a Rashad Bateman, but anyone who needs a big play receiver who with some speed, that's going to be really where Christian Watson goes. So that's one of my sleepers. I'm gonna let you swing it back on yours so you can kind of get one in too as well, bro.
You took mine, so now
okay,
I gotta go to the next guy. Although we did not talk about
yeah.
offensive linemen,
But
but Justin Schaefer.
Okay.
Who a lot of people have him as an inside offensive lineman. But when you're playing against once we just got done talking about it, when you're playing against all of these different levels of from the inside to the outside to the linebacker, when you're responsible, you're playing and you're practicing on the offensive line side against these people. When you go through this mock draft, you got we're talking about two linebackers that could possibly go in the first and second round. When we talked about down linemen, we got Jordan Davis, Trevon Walker could possibly go anywhere in the first 15 picks. So it's like, well, those are the people that you are practicing against. And he has the versatility to play either guard or center position. I think that's someone for me. And he has really good size. And he's got that dog in him.
Yeah.
No pun intended. No pun intended. He's got that dog in him. And I like Justin Schaefer out of Georgia.
Okay. So another sleeper that I actually do like, and we talk about his teammate a lot, and we may be talking about him later on today in the show, but Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, yes. I'm not talking about the late great Kobe Bryant. I know that I know that's literally his name, Kobe Bryant, but with the C-O-B-Y. He is the defensive cornerback, for the Cincinnati Bearcats. They made the college football playoff this year, and he was also a part of that integral piece, that secondary. And back there with his peer Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner gets a lot of praise and adulation and acclaim as the best corner or potentially even the best player in this draft. So I feel like Kobe Bryant gets overlooked. So weird saying that. Overlooked a lot, but he did win the Jim Thorpe Award before for the nation's best DB. So I believe that he, due to his age, right, being older, he's kind of being put underneath the radar, and also due to how great of a cornerback, and we discussed him in our top 5 cornerbacks list, Sauce Gardner, is that he's kind of being overlooked a little bit. So he's actually a good corner. And so they kind of, it's always good, just like when we say when Marcus Peters is there and you have Marlon Humphrey there, right? You want to have that complementary piece that can complement you. So I'm going to go with Kobe Bryant, cornerback out of the Cincinnati Bearcats as another sleeper.
I got someone I'm kind of trying to debate because he can't be a sleeper and the best player in the draft. So I'm gonna save him.
Okay.
For the best because I get why he's sliding, but I don't like that he's sliding. Like I know
who it is. I can guess. I'm not gonna say it.
There's business to it, which is why I feel like the knacks on him is why they are the knacks. Is because he decided to make a business decision and it's affecting his business in a certain way. But someone I brought up that was in my number 4 spot, and I talked about why he was over certain people, and I think a lot of it has to do with his potential. Coming from a smaller school, they got him at a 3rd, 4th round grade, which is why I would say that he could be a sleeper. Because I do think that if you could get him into a good spot, Troy Anderson out of Montana State, 6'3", 243, runs a 4'4", 240. Former quarterback with a high motor. So you never have to question his drive, while also he has the intellect to run your defense if he can run your offense.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of why I'm where I'm going with why I would have him as a sleeper, because he has that speed, he has the size to play all four positions on the linebacker core if you're going to go a 3-4 or a 4-3.
Yeah.
And so, but he is raw. So I do think that he can come in and he could be a sleeper.
Okay. And then my last sleeper is,
I'm going to let you rock. Go ahead. Last one.
Okay.
Go ahead, G.
All right, my last sleeper, I'm going with the UCLA wide receiver, Kyle Phillips. He's kind of compared to a little bit of Cooper Kupp, a little bit. I hope they're not just doing that because they're both white, wide receivers.
Right.
But he does have, yeah, you know how it goes. It's like with Luka and Larry Bird, even though Luka and Larry Bird play nothing alike. But anyway, at all, man. But he played in 11 games in 2021, 59 receptions, about 740 yards receiving, 10 total touchdowns. He was a touchdown machine. His best attribute is his route running. He has smooth, crisp routes. He's very competitive, and you need that a nice toughness, quick agility, and he actually can block. A lot of receivers don't like to block. He's a perfect slot receiver. So if you're looking at him, you're looking at a guy similar to Wes Welker. I don't believe he'll be that low in terms of getting picked, but he has that Wes Welker, Cooper Kupp slot ability a little bit. And so I think that any team who's just in need of a good, sound slot receiver, not necessarily a big play receiver, but he can score when he's in the red zone. He's going to be able to free himself open. Look at Kyle Phillips, wide receiver out of UCLA, as a sleeper pick. All right.
And then we're on to it. The meat and potatoes. It's a lot that you can go from.
I like this one.
First, I think these are. I'm not going to say that. Are we saying best player? Like this person, it should be just should be the number one pick.
To you, it's just to you personally, to who you believe is the best player. And it's tough, man,
because this one is tough because
no right or wrong answer.
I have three.
Right.
That I think are the best in this draft, but
okay. No, I feel you. It wasn't easy for me. Like I wasn't like, I feel like there's like three. You could list. You could say my number one out of the three would be this person, but then here are two others that I like. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because I think Derek Stingley is going to come in and be an impact corner right away.
I knew you were going to say Stingley.
But my boy Kayvon.
That's another one.
It's after watching what he did to Ohio State, as well as what he was doing up until this season. I don't fault him for the lack. Like pretty much they're saying he lacks the motor. But it's like Pro Football Focus still had him rated as a 91.5 pass rushing grade. So where is the lack in motor are we talking about here?
His favorite player is Ray Lewis, by the way. You want to add that in there.
And so it's like I don't like some of the stuff because I think at the same time, as well as the NFL is a business, I am a business. So it's like, why would I go out here and get myself hurt? Especially I got hurt in like game 1 or 2. So for me, I think that he has all the measurables. He has the frame. He has the speed that burst off the line, as well as he's not just a pass rusher. And so I do think like at a certain point, it is going to come down to where when it comes to everybody has Aiden Richardson as the number one pass rusher coming out, where I think it's going to come down to high motor and not as much athletic ability, to where can this athletic ability can he match the motor or at least get close to that motor?
Right, right.
And so I got Stingley. I think Kayvon is the best in my personal opinion. But I love Kyle Hamilton and what he's able to bring to. He's one of those dudes that you can throw him into almost any defense.
Yeah.
And with
he could be a
how
linebacker too.
exactly with how athletic these tight ends are nowadays, to be able to throw someone like that on them and say, "Hey, do your thing," and we're not even gonna like shade to that area or bracket or anything like that. It's like you literally give him that versatility to where he can play and play sideline to sideline as a safety. He could play close to the line. He could play in the box. He could be that slot corner. And for me, those are my three best players. I think Kayvon is the best. Now, if you was to ask me on the day of the draft, I might have a different person.
Right, right. That's how this draft's gonna be, bro.
Right.
Like I feel like at the top of the top 10, you could go with anyone in the top 10 just about, outside of maybe tackle, but
right.
Even the tackles are cool. Like the top 3 tackles are cold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Evan Neal is a problem.
Right. So, all right.
Bros is 6'7", 350 pounds.
That's insane.
And he only allowed 24 pressures for 2 seasons. Pressures.
Hey,
not
give him the 10-year max contract. Bro. Like straight up.
Not sacks.
Straight up. Pressures. That's crazy. So for me, I like Derek Stingley. I really like Derek Stingley. He's the person that I believe that the Ravens should draft. But this is unpredictable. We did put out the Ronnie Stanley tweet, which I believe is a smokescreen because they're actually going to replace Ronnie Stanley. But that's a whole nother show topic for another day. They're at least going to draft his replacement, at least by round 2. And I could have went Derek Stingley here, but he's in my 3. He's in my 3, in my top 3. But I said, you know what? As J.U.K would say, screw the speculation. I'm just going to go on the production. And I'm also going to go based off intangibles and also character matters, but like personality, what they say, different things of that nature. And I'm going to give this man his respect because he told everyone I'm the best corner in the draft. I think he might have said I'm the best player in the draft as well. And people try to say, oh, cocky, brash, all this kind of stuff. But he said, you need that in my position. And then when you listen to him speak, he's the most mild-mannered individual ever. Or should I say in the draft, or at his position, I would say, outside of like Stingley's mild manner. I'm gonna go with Sauce Gardner. Because I can't say the hype's not real. I believe I picked him, Ralph, because I look at the cornerback position, and you cannot go wrong with any of the top 3 between him, Stingley, and McDuffie. I think the other ones have a higher ceiling, but McDuffie's floor is very high. He's going to tackle. He's going to do special teams. They say, and the tape shows me, the only knock on him is his height. If that's the only knock on you, right, then you have to be within that realm. But Sauce Gardner, the tape and the production says you did not allow a touchdown at all in your collegiate career, right? His pro comp is a Richard Sherman, somewhat of a little bit of Jalen Ramsey, somewhat a little bit of Antonio Cromartie. Richard Sherman gave him the endorsement, and that means a lot to me as someone who knows Richard Sherman as a cerebral guy. 6'3", I think 6'3", 190, close to 200 pounds, long arms that can force receivers off their route and their release at the line. That's something that you can't teach, the long height and all that kind of stuff. He can be a little grabby, but that's also fixable at the NFL level. And quarterbacks, and then they have like a 31% like freaking completion percentage to him or something like that, something insane. So like his production is insane. He's first team All-American, okay. 2 career pick sixes. He can blitz coming from the cornerback position off the edge. He can do a cornerback blitz and get to the quarterback, right? I mean, he has the extreme confidence and brashness to play the position. He said, I don't go out partying and all that kind of stuff. It's not a bad thing, but he's like, I prefer to study film and watch. And also when they asked him about who do you compare yourself to, Ralph, he said, honestly, he mentioned those names that they said. He said, I've heard those names, but he said, honestly, just nobody. I just do me. I just try to be the best of my ability. He said, I'm gonna buy my mom a house. He's like, I'm so excited for the draft. And I think his head is on the right swivel. And I think that he has the intangibles and the leadership to take a team like Cincinnati to the college football or be an integral piece to the college football playoffs. So I look at that from a small school, and then you say, well, competition. He's like, there's competition at every school technically. But when he was on the national stage and faced a Jameson Williams, who many believe is the best wide receiver in this draft, he shut Jameson Williams down. So now I'm looking at, you've checked all these boxes, and people are trying to come up with some things to knock his character or something when he has none of that, right? All he has is production and confidence. So I'm going to give Sauce Gardner the respect that I think that the Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley will be a battle as their careers wane for who really is the creme de la creme. But right now, I'm going to give Sauce the edge. So he's going to be my best player in the draft. And then I'll just list off some quick names. Stingley would be my number 2. And I was thinking about Thibodeau because of the Ray Lewis situation and how good he is. And Hamilton is up there too. Hamilton's up there too. But if I had to pick between those two, even though we both had like the same players, I'm going to go with Thibodeau because there's some things that I feel like Hamilton, like we discussed, still needs to work on. And I believe that if you go to a certain team and you utilize him and say, okay, just defend the tight end, all right, do this, and you'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? Some of the speed does bother me, but I think Thibodeau, he's almost being black marked or whatever, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't believe any of it, bro. I think they're in for a rude awakening.
Right.
Like the whole the Clowney. I know we had Tar on the show, the whole Clowney situation, but I said, hey, if you put him next to Owe, I don't know, bro. Like the dude might
might
havoc. So I don't know.
I just seen something on Twitter just before I got on the show. The Eagles said if Kayvon, there's a source saying that if Kayvon slips past the 5, that the Eagles are gonna try to look into trading up.
Cool. Let's get Stingley then.
Right? What y'all got? Y'all got 14, right?
We picked 14, so we in trouble because the Vikings, they have the same colors as him, and I'm like, man, that LSU color, they might want a corner, and then a team could potentially jump up in front of us. The Chargers, I know the Chargers head coach wants him, and so like we'll see, man. Like, there's so many different things.
It just really depends, bro. I think that it's one of those things that
it's tough, man.
If you go lineman or corner, I don't think that you're. Now you would hope that a Sauce or Stingley is available and you don't have to go Trent Duffy.
Right. I'll take Trent though, but
right. But like I think at that point, if you don't get one of those two, then you can get anybody from a Trayvon or a Kayvon. Jordan Davis is another person that could possibly fall to that spot.
I'll take Jordan,
and you can have Calais Campbell mentor him for this final season or two, however long he's going to be around for. So I do think that you guys are in a good spot having that early of a pick to where it's kind of like an embarrassment of riches when it comes to like the draft prospects, because it's like whoever falls to me, I'm still getting
right
a good player.
Impact player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now there is someone that I wanted to mention when I forgot to mention him in our
sleepers?
I couldn't remember his name in our sleepers. Kyler Gordon.
Oh, I heard that name.
He was the corner on the other side of Duffy.
Of Washington.
At Washington. And he played both sides, left side, right side, outside corners, and he played the slot. He finished with a pro football focus grade of an 89.6 in coverage. So he's another person that's supposed to go in that second to fourth round, depending on how many corners get slide. Because as of right now, they got him at the 8th or 9th corner, best corner in the draft.
Yeah. But
he was well on the other side of pretty much one of the better corners in all of football.
That's that. Yeah, like Washington had good corners. I think It's almost like I think that like that first 2 tiers of corners, you have some really good players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's gonna
it's
be
like
interesting.
it's like you can't go wrong
Yeah. So I think
with those
I
top
do
two
think
tiers.
someone. Right. That's why I think some will actually drop just because like teams will be like, well, we can hold off here, and you got
Right.
Andrew Booth as well, who
Right. Right.
he may not be the shiftiest, but he gonna lay a hat on you, and he has good ball skills. So
Right.
like, Ravens could go if they traded back, they could get him, or maybe even the Bills get him. I still want to premier top flight, but because I expect Marcus Peters, coming off the ACL, being my age, and then on his last year of his deal, that's why, like you said, we could go interior line, we could go corner, like who knows, bro.
Right.
Thibodeau, you can trade up, or maybe Thibodeau just goes for a crazy free fall because people are hating.
Right.
It could happen. Like I don't know.
You never know what can happen with this draft stuff, bro.
Like,
Because
good,
what was Laramie Tunsil on the day of the draft? There's a picture of him in a gas mask smoking weed. Like you just never know.
Yeah.
You never know, bro.
Hey, I told Jamal we were talking about sleepers, right? We were in our fantasy chats this morning, and I said, but still, my all-time favorite sleeper was Lamar Jackson. He's like, bro, you can't call him a sleeper. I was like, yes, I can. I said, technically Lamar Jackson. I said, I found a loophole. I said he was a Heisman quarterback that they tried to get to play wide receiver and running back, and then he waited to like pick 32 to get him, bro, because he thought Baker Mayfield was Drew Brees. I was like, where's Baker right now, man?
I mean, technically, he is a sleeper.
That's a sleeper. He's like, I'm like, let me live and be great, Jamal. He's like, all right, bro.
Technically, he is a sleeper if you think about the sense of the word. Now, if you're gonna categorize someone a sleeper as like a third pick and on,
facts.
Because like it's crazy. Like Derek Carr should have never went in the second round.
True. Facts.
Like that was another person that like I'm happy. Like it's sometimes it just works out in your favor, but you're still a sleeper pick.
Yeah.
with the
big time sleeper.
Nonetheless, yo. But
hey, and last one I was gonna say, and before we end the show, Darren Waller was on the Ravens like practice squad or whatever. Y'all turned him to a Pro Bowler, bro. Like,
man, did you see that? Tar texted me the other day. It was like, bro, we think about trading Darren Waller.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, why he upset, man, or whatever.
I think what it is, and we talked about this, is Jacobs, Moreau, I think Renfro now. And it was like one other person. Oh, Mullins. We got to pay all four of them.
And
so it's
Waller's
like,
man.
And so it's like, but you have Moreau, who you can have as a tight end. I think Moreau's he's not the Pro Bowler, but he's a good starting tight end.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it. You got it.
I don't think that I don't want them trading him.
Right, pay the premium.
But I at least understand it because you just made Adams was the highest wide receiver for 2 days, highest paid wide receiver for 2 days. Derek Carr just got a good contract, but he actually took less so we could sign more players. As well as like Renfro got to get paid, Jacobs got to get paid. So it's like I get it.
Don't pay the running back, bro. Don't pay the running back.
But we got to figure something out. Yeah, Jacobs is always hurt.
Right. Don't pay the running back. You can replace him.
Yeah.
Give me 10 carries.
You can replace the running back like you.
Right.
I don't think you can replace that Waller is.
Right. They'd be like, yo, we gotta pay the running back, bro. No offense, but like, yo, we gotta pay this running back.
Did you see the pivot with him on that episode?
Yeah, I saw that joint. Yeah.
And they all talked about how big he was.
Yo.
So like, nah, don't trade him. Derek Carr tweeted, not a chance.
Yeah, and there was a photo of him. I think he said, "I'm either not leaving or Darren Waller or something like." No to the Packers. I think.
Yeah. And so I'm like, that better not happen. But we got to get up out of here, y'all. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being a part of the show. Truly appreciate everybody that watches, likes, shares, and all of that. But make sure you follow us on Instagram at j.u.k.sportshow. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, share, and all of that for YouTube and Facebook. the He Say She Say all one word channel. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe on my stuff as well, my individual page on Twitch as well as TikTok, Instagram at KYNGRALPH.
And you can follow me on Instagram at the.houseofhoops. Once again, Instagram at the.houseofhoops.
And thank you all for watching. Y'all go have a good day. It's good weather outside. Peace out.